AIW for not accepting help from my mom / her fiancé. I'll try to keep the summary of this brief, but it is important to the question. I lost my dad when I was 12, I'm male, 34, and my mom and I went through a really rough time afterwards. Things were done and said on both sides that were just flat out not okay. I actually wound up getting kicked out of the house when I was 15 to 16 or so, and told I could only come back once I had changed. Looking back, I wasn't a horrible kid. I didn't go out drinking or partying like a lot of people I knew did. I did miss a good amount of school because I had sleep issues after my dad's death, though. I wound up living with a friend from school and his family. Early on, it was awkward and sad for me. I begged my mom to let me to come back home, but she would just keep repeating that I could once I had changed, but would never give context for that. Then once I settled in and started to love the family I was living with, she started saying things like, "Why are you still staying with these strangers? Why don't you want to come back home?" We're at a better place relationship-wise than we were back then, but it fundamentally changed our dynamic. I went from seeing my mom as a superhero with unconditional love to a flawed person who makes some bad decisions just like everyone else. That said, it did fully feel like her love for me as a son vanished for a chunk of time, and that's made me, for better or worse, change how close I'm willing to get to her for my own well-being. We are very different people, and although I'm not actively holding a grudge against her, that I know of, I do keep her sort of at arm's length in a lot of cases. Past events aside, there's for sure some incompatibility with how we communicate. She's not great at respecting boundaries when I communicate them to her. When we talk via video call, despite me saying I greatly prefer text, she'll get on topics like religion or my health or hobbies, and when I give a reply she doesn't agree with or like, she'll keep pressing and pressing, trying to get me to change my answer or explain more than I'm willing to. Even when I say something like, "I've given you my answer, I'm not willing to discuss this further, and if you keep asking I'm going to have to end the call." I've had to end calls with her a handful of times, and always feel bad/guilty when I do, even though I'm just trying to enforce a boundary. It's rare that I'll get off a call with her and feel good. It's possible people have already decided that I'm the asshole, but here's where the question part comes in. I am from Canada and live in the States since it's where my husband is from. She'll ask what I want for my birthday/Christmas, and I'll almost say I don't need anything and just a happy birthday is enough. I'm honestly not a big birthday guy in general. I much prefer making other people smile on their birthdays than I do celebrating my own. She'll often send a card with a check, which I feel a bit mixed about cashing. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's always a reasonable amount of money though. Never really more than $1.50. In the last couple of years she started seeing someone, and honestly, I am very happy for her. My dad passed away such a long time ago, and I am legitimately glad that she has someone she loves and cares for, who loves and cares for her like that in return. Thing is, he's sort of pushy in ways that are like my mom, not really respectful of boundaries. Her insists on sending $500 for a Christmas gift every year, and I mean insists. I told him that I'm not really comfortable accepting that kind of money from anyone. My husband and I don't even spend that much on each other for Christmas, and he said it was my money and he needed to get it to me. Then after leaving alone for a while, he texted me before my mom's birthday, January, and asked what I wanted him to buy for her birthday using my money. I repeated that I felt uncomfortable with it, and he said he was sorry I felt awkward about it, but it was my money and he was just trying to get it to me. It wasn't that I didn't want to get her something. I wanted to and did. But I felt really uncomfortable. A gift to me should come from the person giving it, both in the thought behind it and the money/effort put in to buy/make it. I guess it's partly that he just doesn't seem to get/respect that my relationship with my mom is sort of strained. As another example, I made a knit blanket for my grandma earlier this year and sent it bundled with a package I was sending my mom anyway. She lives in the same town and said she was going to visit grandma on her birthday and wanted to see her open it. Then I got a text from her fiancé saying, "Just a hint, but your mom really loved the blanket you made for your grandma," which just makes it feel like I'm expected/beholden to make one for her. What prompted me to write this post actually just happened today. My husband and I are planning a trip back to Canada to see friends and family in a couple months. When we are in my hometown, we'll likely be visiting several cities. We plan to stay with my found family, not my mom. This is the norm and shouldn't come as a shock to anyone. Found family home is just where we feel most comfortable. I got a text from the fiancé saying that we aren't to rent a car for our trip. He will provide one. Again, it just rubs me the wrong way. Rather than ask if we need or want a car, he's telling us he's providing one for us. Even though it's not said, it feels implied that we will be a bit indebted to him and will have stay with my mom / spend more time over there than we might have otherwise. Relationship stuff aside, I'd be very nervous to drive someone else's car like that. I'm a fairly new driver, whole other story, and along with my inexperience behind the wheel for someone my age, I have no idea how insurance would work that way if I wrecked his car or something. I haven't replied to the message, but from past interactions I am fairly sure if I say thanks for the offer, but will probably just rent one, he'll just insist that I use his. It's not that I don't appreciate these thoughts or gestures or him wanting me and my mom to have the sort of relationship where I make her knit blankets. I do plan on making her one, but in my own time. I make several of them a year, and there's a bit of a queue. It's just, I guess it feels like boundaries aren't being respected, and the way our relationship is, it feels very important to me to not be beholden or dependent on him and or my mom.